Okay, Facebook people, just to let you know, I'm done making you seasick of going screen to screen. So here is our actual beginning. We're going to be doing market updates real fast.
Yeah, well, that has my. But, I can feel that hopefully this has to be anything.
Got it.
Thank
Hey,
you.
you think that's why?
That'd be great.
Absolutely. I made one.
That one, or is that?
Yeah.
She sent it on November.
Okay, so I have decided that I cannot Facebook Live from that computer. So now we're doing this a little different. So if you think it's kind of crazy, it kind of is.
If they don't come, they shouldn't get to see it.
Oh, Sherry, I want everyone to see it. That's one of my selling. But just to let you know, and Sherry, if you're teaching and they don't come, they shall not see it.
They won't. Well, that's good. When I did,
Here you go,
I
Melissa.
did everyone see it.
I
So it's
appreciate
nice to
that.
have the Facebook. Okay. I'll
Spicy.
try.
Okay, we ready to like hit off, have a good time? Little party. Coco will be joining us shortly. She's in the building next door. How many of you got lost the first time you came to this building? Yeah, thanks. All right, the rest of you just aren't admitting it. Like I walked around this building 4 times looking for a door and then I called the co-manager and said, I know I took a job over here, but I don't know how to get in the building because it all blends and it used to be a different color. So it was really confusing. But now it kind of stands out a little different. I promised you Cuba this morning. However, Cuba has a sore throat and has been coughing all night and went back to bed. But he did text us this morning saying how wonderful we were and how sad he is to miss us. And he sent me an article to talk to you guys about briefly. And in that article, which was really interesting because I had already seen this article on my Facebook feed, because how many of you get things that you like regularly watch just pop up on your Facebook feed? Yay, Facebook. It knows me so well. My husband's like, oh, I don't like AI that stalks me. And I'm all like, but I do. It simplifies my life. I have nothing to hide. I'm not that interesting. Yeah. And it's from the Swanepoel's Inner Circle. Swanepoel is a gentleman who is from, I believe, Africa. And he does a lot on statistics. He does T360. He brings a lot industry wide about real estate and where things are moving. I sometimes think, just to be honest, he goes a little extreme, to say the least. Like in one of his books, talked about the zombie apocalypse being one of the threats to real estate. I get that you just had to fill the 100 threats. So number 100 is the zombie apocalypse. But I'm like, I think we have way bigger things to worry about at that point, like food and water. But he does have some good insight, and there are a lot of people of positions that directly impact what we do in the field every day that follow the Swanepoel reports. So his article was the upside of downturns, which I was like, finally, we're going positive. Like, I'm so happy. Because usually, like I said, it's not positive. And the 3 points that I'm just going to point out in this article, and then I'll be sure to put it on our Facebook group later, is the ride down is always faster than the path up. That's why you feel what you feel, right? Like when we're going up and life is good, no one really thinks about it other than life is good. And so Sammy's point, and the people that say things like, why are you calling me? I have 25 offers to rifle through and like, I'm so busy. That's not Sammy, that's the people she deals with. And our response should always be, and shouldn't you be thankful? And our response should always be, when we're in those situations where we feel like, don't you know how busy I am? Shouldn't we be thankful? And shouldn't we still do the ultimate job because we're being hired as the professional? So the downturn always feels fast. And actually, guys, I just want to be really clear. Real estate in Maricopa County has not been in a downturn. Yeah, we halted, but why did we halt for 2 weeks in November?
Thanksgiving.
Elections. What is Arizona known for?
Right.
What did everybody freak out about? The election. I mean, my aunt in North Carolina texted me asking me if I was still flying to visit her based on something that chick that lost posted. Oh, who's that lady that
Carrie
just?
Lake.
Very late.
Yeah, that's how much I've already forgotten about the election.
Yeah.
And she goes, so you're still visiting, right? Business is still okay for you? Life good? And I'm like, this is all off something about Carrie Lake and courts. You know? Like it affects the whole country somehow, right? And they all just say, we're gonna stay away from Arizona for a minute. So for 2 weeks, we completely halted. We barely moved real estate in November for only 2 weeks. In June, what you just spoke to was the interest rate downturn.
Mhm.
And if you like Carrie Lake, that's okay. I was just saying like it affected North Carolina and I was very confused.
It affected Minnesota too, because we have a client waiting to decide
See?
if she's going to buy her $2 million house here based on the election.
See, craziness. And I don't even think it really matters who wins. It's just
Right.
Arizona is known for craziness. In June, the end of May, the beginning of June, we also saw a slight halt in comparison to a frenzy.
Mhm.
And that was the interest rate change. That was the change between hearing 3 to 4% to hearing 6 to 7%, right? So that immediately happened. That immediately shifted mindsets because the down is always more sellable than the upswing. I mean, listen to the news, guys. The only reason we actually watch it is like, what do I need to know that's a fear factor?
Mhm.
Who in this country watches news to go, oh yeah, the firefighter saved the kitty cat? No, that's why we're on our Facebook feeds. We want the video of the firefighter saving the kitty cat, right? But everybody buys into fear. So our downturns, we go fast. But guys, we're stabilized and we're doing great. Something that I just published in your newsletter were our new loan limits. And our conforming loan limit that does affect VA as well has increased in Maricopa County to the biggest number I've ever experienced, $726,200. That is insane. That means a first-time home buyer or someone who hasn't bought in, I think it's the last 5 years, John, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it 3 years, 5 years? They don't own a home any longer, can do a 3% down program
3 years.
on 726. So add 3% to that number, you're in the 750s, right? That's insane. And then we have our FHA market, which is going to now affect all of you in this market. See, when I first moved to this side of town, and I do say this side of town, meaning east versus west, because the I-17 does cut us in half and we get very confused on flat versus mountainous and home values. West Valley has always been FHA qualified. We always have homes for FHA because we always hit the price point because it's flat in the West Valley and their price points weren't as extreme because construction in the East Valley is quite a bit more expensive than the West Valley based on the soil, based on how they build. So if you want to know why one outdoes the other, right? But 530,150 for a 3.5% down payment, which means you're closer to 545 for a purchase price for an FHA buyer. FHA is looser on its requirements. Your debt to income ratio can be a little more extreme than a conventional finance deal. Your credit score is not always, hey, what's up? That's good. Your credit score is not always gleaming. But at the end of the day, that's going to be awesome for affordability. Let me tell you the issue. This is all on bullet point 1, by the way. The issue right now, 2023, January 1st, of obtaining an FHA loan at 545, even though they qualify, is the mortgage insurance on the back end. HUD has not shifted the mortgage insurance for FHA. They increased the loan limit, but looking at that price point, you're about 400 to 450 on the mortgage payment, which takes away the whole affordability factor. So great, they increased the amount, but now we have to look at someone's monthly budget and make sure we understand what goes into that mortgage payment. So John will be teaching on that later. Isn't that lovely, John?
Yeah, so
He-
lovely.
He gets his updates as I speak.
I'm trying to take notes, I know what to say.
And then to Stefan's point, Stefan's Mr. Swanepoel's first name. The downturn always affects us faster and everyone gets this lull, but I don't think in this office. I think you guys always see the positive side. Because I want to ask you, how likely is it for another frenzy now that we're talking mid to low 6s in interest rates? We have an extremely low inventory nationally. Less than 1% of our national market basis is even considering being a short sale or foreclosure. How likely, when buyers come back to this pool of getting back in the mindset of a regular cyclical market, 3rd week of January, we usually hit ultimate highs when it comes to our numbers compared to the last quarter. Do you think we are gonna see multiple offers again?
Yeah, absolutely.
You see everybody fighting over the same nice, pretty house. You seem but this time be cautious, because I don't think we're gonna be able to just blow out that candle and wish again as a seller. I really think people are gonna be more cognizant of that appraised value, right? So keep in mind, as we upswing and we mindset today, that right now to move a house, are buyers even wanting to pay fair market value where an appraisal will come in? They're all under, aren't they? They're like, you want to make it happen in December? Cool, I want 20 grand more. I want 30 grand more. But in January, we're going to finally have people meeting a true meeting of the minds of a fair market value, and some of them still going up a little bit. But I don't think we're going to ever experience what we did in the last 2.5 years with price points. At least I hope not, because that's just considered crazy. And you know what that kind of market is for us? Highly litigious. Why? Because how many people still think on a seller's mindset that it's okay to ask a buyer to waive their inspection, to just take a property? And is it okay? Inspections, do you think they're the number one risk management tool for a buyer or for a seller? Seller, why? Because is there any way for a seller to disclose everything they know about a property? Oh, no, or know what's important to that one buyer? So without the buyer's ability to investigate and educate themselves on what's important to them, you have a miserable buyer buying, and that's 6 years of potential just filing to sue you, right? So we want a happy, smart, educated, well-rounded buyer purchasing a property to reduce the risk for a seller. So when your sellers say, you're not advocating for me, I want you all to be like, no, but I am. I am, because at the end of the day, we want the right buyer, not just a buyer. So that was one of his bullet points: downturns faster, upturns slower. It's just all mental size. We have been stabilizing. We're doing great, guys. We're still selling. We had a house the other day that sold in 2 days of hitting coming soon, almost $1 million. What sells a house? 3 items.
Right.
Yeah. And then what's the 4th one that helps people sell a property?
The agent.
I like that. I like that. Accessibility. How can you get into the house to show it, right? Like, some people are like, I want you to sell my house in a minute, and I don't want to show it. I'm like, that's so cute. Oh, don't do that. Another key point: change is scary, but it can be healthy. It opens doors for new opportunities. Eric, what new opportunities have you been seeing?
Seller carryback.
Creative financing.
Yeah.
And I want you to be very clear in your head, a wrap is not the same as a carryback. It has the same ideas, but a wrap is when somebody wraps in an existing mortgage, and that is extremely risky. And who do we need to involve at that point? Exactly. And if they don't get one, what are we going to put in writing that we ask them to get? Yeah, okay. Innovation, just like a downturn or an upturn, is around every corner. So how are you going to do this round different? So last round, we were just reacting. How are you going to do this round different? How are you going to talk to people? How are you going to risk management them? How are you going to tell them why they should be using you? Sammy today is going out. Sorry, I'm using you, Sammy, but you shared a lot this morning, and that's top of mind. Sammy is going out today to meet with an appraiser. Okay. And as the market adjusts and we start looking at December and November closed properties, which affects January's appraisals. Okay, so they're no longer going this, they're no longer going this. Some of them kind of took an adjustment. How are you as a buyer's agent going to protect that buyer's ability to purchase? How are you going to help a buyer justify the contract price? Are you willing to have that discussion with a buyer? Go ahead, Lucinda, what are you going to do?
Write a letter, as you said, to the appraiser, or work it out with the appraiser, show them how you came up with the comps, pointing out these similarities or differences.
Yeah.
Do that.
Exactly. How many people actually think as a buyer's realtor, we should go out with our buyer's permission and help justify the contract price? Yeah. Because does anybody want to overpay for a house?
No.
Even if they're cash? No, only in 2020 and 2021, and we're still extremely confused on that. So all those things came from Stefan's key points, which I think we all really know and feel and live every day. But what I want you to do when you're feeling down is remember that you have a door to open. So we have to get right back on the horse. And that's what we're about to do, is figure out what horse are you riding? Because all of you are going to be slightly different. Kathy's like 5 houses, Mandy, January, let's go. So I'm going to just change over to our PowerPoint.
Go ahead.
Do you know what, I keep hearing the national numbers of how far under inventory we are. Do we know what the Arizona number is?
The only ones I've really heard is the ones national that were under by like 30% of where we should be.
Yeah.
Arizona, I would think we're even closer to 40%, and that's just based off educated, information
Right.
between Tina Tambor and Michael Orr and Lawrence Yoon, and the Bowtie Economist is someone I like to follow. If you guys want to write down someone to follow on your daily emails, if you just Bowtie Economist, I don't know.
I love it.
I don't know his real name.
Elliot.
Huh?
Elliot.
Elliot. Okay, cool. So
Elliot Pollock?
is it Elliot Pollock?
Elliot
No,
Pollock?
yes.
The
And he
Monday
sends out-
quarterback?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
sends out.
Yeah.
He sends out only like 2 lines, so if you sign up for it, you'll get like 3 or 4 things from him a week, which can be a lot.
But they're that
it's
big.
only 2 lines, like you talked about the whole soccer thing, how US winning would, it help us with sports, and he talks about a various different kinds of things. His thoughts on real estate is interesting though, because he does national thoughts, not
Right.
Arizona thoughts, so you have to always think about that, because Arizona is definitely unique in the real estate market. And
That's
we
a
all are
different
gonna have
Elliot
a,
then.
different.
That's a
yeah,
different Elliot.
Just put Bowtie Economist
Yeah,
in and you will
Bowtie.
find him. And he
totally
does,
different, But I didn't call it.
yeah, he does 2 to 3 lines. It's fast, it's funny, humor and statistics on how we're moving forward as an economy makes me happy.
Yeah.
Cecil, I know it has to make you happy as a scientist. Like, you need a little bit of humor every day, right? And so we need to make sure that we're watching and listening to more people than just us. Also, the one in town to listen to is Tom Ruff, and that's RUFF, and he is our ARMLS statistician, and he always puts something out monthly. Please read those, use them, give ARMLS credit, but it makes you look great. No one reads to the bottom.
How do you access them?
Through armls.com, and you have a monthly update that comes into your inbox as well.
You can also get them on Cromford if you're
You can get them
Member
on
of-
what?
Cromford Report.
Oh, that's
if you're
right.
on there.
yeah.
Cromford is a paid for subscription for those who don't pay for it. I'm always happy to help you look at my reports. It's all based on ARMLS data only. So it's very specific to our marketplace. Okay, so we're gonna do our booklet today. Who's excited? Yeah. So we've done numbers, we've done business planning with Bree, we've done numbers with Sherry. I'm gonna make you think a little bit different. I want you to think mindset on something that I want you to be able to leave with an actual plan. So my friend Susan Nicholson and I taught this at Women's Council of Realtors at NAR last month, and it was lovely and fun. And that's why we have booklets, because Susan's way more organized than I am. She ordered the booklets. She made the booklet, she ordered the booklets. I just got to teach out of the booklets. So the first thing I want you to see is what we're going to do. We're going to brainstorm, which is really this first section. We're going to prioritize. We'll then adapt, break it down, dedicate ourselves to it, and give ourselves some motivation to continue to move forward. How many of you get a little overwhelmed every time you open a very detailed business plan? Okay. Yeah, I think that's called a human element. But if I can focus in on one item and think about it, and maybe I don't even look at it every day, but I think about it and I know it and I have it written and I have a plan written. It's amazing when I go to my quarter and I open and I go, what was my plan? And I compare it, it happened. But when I bog down in the weeds, sometimes it's like when you were a teenager and you didn't want to do the dishes. Now, I love for those who said, no, I always wanted to do the dishes. Or for me, it was, I think all of us here, possibly, except for 2 people, maybe, were pre-dishwashers. Well, in Michigan, in the Midwest, like I remember growing up in a trailer park, which my husband calls a manufactured home park, because he goes, you need to come to LA, that is not a trailer park. And I remember thinking my friend's mom was so rich because she had this cool dishwasher that was, the washing machine where you put it over the thing and the water goes in. She had that go to the sink and it was this like movable dishwasher. And I was like, oh my God, you guys have a dishwasher, the dishwasher at home. But anyway, a really bogged down business plan can sometimes put you in the weeds and you don't get anything done. It sometimes will make you dwell on it so much. If you just took care of it, it would have been done and you would have been able to move forward. But you're just like, oh, can I just do it after one more show? You know, I would rather fold my laundry. Okay, this is all telling you, don't visit me. My husband has to do the chores. So what I want you to think about when you think about this page, and we're not going to do it all here today, but is things that every single month you would like to accomplish. And just 3 things, not 10 things. And the kinds of things we're going to want to accomplish are based on these categories. Any of you have friends outside of the office? Is there something you would like to accomplish, you know, with your friends or your family outside of this office? Like, I would love to have a goal of 1 peaceful dinner a quarter with my family. That means I have to leave the kids at home. Right? So why don't you take a moment and think about in your life and these categories, can you jot in 1 item that you would actually want to accomplish or do different? A great way to think about this is something that you all should know very, very well if you listen to motivational speakers, and they've talked for years about big rocks versus little rocks. And I'm always like, it's funny how many big rocks I moved to make a little rock happen. But these are your big rocks that you fill your jar with, and then everything else just fills the space around it. So with everything else being fluid and with everything else being water, what should I never compromise on? Huh?
Big rock.
Yeah, my big rocks. So these are what you're writing, your big rocks. Where it shows wealth and finance, just so you know, when I was in the field full time, I would move, and I still do, my peaceful dinner. Everyone in the car on their way to their peaceful dinner, if a house popped on the market that met my buyer's need, they were going to show a house. It was amazing how I would revert. But maybe what you think about is personal development with that. How do I delegate to not make my client feel like they don't matter, but for them to understand this is why I have teammates, right? And not call them teammates, but I have partners. Thank you. I'm like, it starts with a P and it's not professional.
Because you told me.
Yeah, it's why I have partners, because when you say the word teammate, does that to an outsider outside of this room, how does that make your teammate sound?
Less than.
Yeah, less than you, right? But you say my business partner will be meeting you. How does that make them sound?
Like an equal.
Yeah, equal too. So I go back to algebra. So these are things to think about. And then what you want to do is prioritize. When you look at all these, where do I really need to focus? It's really easy to say, I'm going to focus on my family and friends, meaning for me, my family, right? You're all my friends. I get to focus on you every day. But honestly, to focus on them, do I not need my wealth and finance to support them? Right? So I have to kind of prioritize. And then I have to be willing sometimes, if I make my family number 1, which it really should be, duct tape and 3 teenage girls, my number 1 focus, what am I willing to delegate so it moves to 2 and 3? And am I going to be able to personally take a deep breath and feel okay with that? So these are things you guys have to think about for you. All right, everybody working on that page? Okay. Doesn't have to be too deep. So on the very back of your book, if you would like some blank space, I'm going to do something that's not in the book real fast. Because as you set these goals, something I want you to do is make this diagram, just across 4 quadrants. Sandra, are you doing okay back there?
Were we putting the 4th quadrant?
You can put it on the back of the book. There's like I I promise it's really gonna be easy. It's not gonna be too detailed. But we have 4 quadrants. We have, based on my priorities, based on my big rocks, my responsibility. Everything that you put as a big rock typically includes somebody else. Just so you know. And there is a place as their responsibility. And then on the side, you'll have take action and take no action. This is something I've been taping to my desk when I talk to people lately, because what I found is I always want to live in this quadrant. Taking action on things that are actually not my responsibility, which does nothing but harm me and harm them. Right? If I create your addendum, did that teach you how to make an addendum? Jason's like, absolutely. Do more, Mandy. No, I'm joking. You actually do a really great job. So the idea is when I'm being asked questions that might take me from my priorities, is how's that going to make me feel? And what quadrant do I want to live in? And how do I give my best self? So how do you feel when you take action on things that are your responsibility?
Right.
Good. All right. So I want you to make a happy face. This, yeah, I'm telling you, we are just grown kindergartners that pay taxes. Just so you all know, I truly believe we're the same people we were when we walked in and our parents finally let go. And we were in that little playroom and we all had different, like, some kids wanted to take a nap, some kids wanted to make friends, you know, we're the same kids, we're just older with taxes. Now, what happens when you take action? When you take no action on something that you're responsible for, what happens when you keep putting off those dishes?
They're
Pile up.
dirtier.
Yeah, and you
Don't
feel
do the dishwasher.
Right.
icky and sad and overwhelmed. So this is kind of like when you take no action on a simple addendum in a transaction, just because you felt like it was the other agent's job to do it. But whose job is it really?
Mhm.
So you feel sad. So make a sad face. I had to remember what way I did this. Okay, now what happens when you take action on something that's not your responsibility?
Annoyed.
What happens when you call the city on behalf of your buyers and you find out information for them, but you didn't ask enough questions in their opinion?
In trouble.
Trouble.
I know.
You start becoming a little resentful,
Mhm.
feeling a little bitter. You know, resentment comes from a category, I just want you all to know this if you feel this next year, of jealousy. If you start feeling resentful on a client and another agent, it actually stems from unspoken expectations, which is you're upset, you're jealous of something you had in your head that will never be a reality because you didn't tell anybody what was in your head. So now at home, I always say to my husband, I'm just mad because I spoke my expectations. So I don't want any of you to resent your clients. You have to set expectations, okay? And you have to speak them. But I would like you to realize when you do something that's not your responsibility, when you haven't pushed back enough to say, I would love to call the city on your behalf, but the thing is, what's important to you, I cannot define. So I want to make sure I give you the right source, and then you need to call and ask all the right questions. But that's why I hired you. You absolutely hired me to assist you, and to assist you properly, I have to have you get on the phone because I'm not going to live there with you at the end of the day. You're going to live there.
Mhm.
And I need to make sure what you're done doing is important to you. So that makes you feel when you take action is bitter and angry and sad. And this is called burnout for realtors. This is when you continually overstep and you stop drawing lines. My friend Susan loves to say, this is my lane with you. You're in my car. We're driving in this lane. I'm not leaving my lane. If you ask me to veer out of my lane, I'm going to let you know the right sources and the right professionals to speak to, but we're going to definitely stay in this lane. She's a little more like Marriott trained and I'm a little more Disney trained. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Brene Brown trained, right? So I'm all like, I'm going to give you Atlas of the Heart and show you what resentment is defined as. I don't want to feel this way about you, so you're gonna have to take care of this. All right, now, when you push back properly and you get them to understand and you take no action on something that's not your responsibility, how does that feel? When you're able to let go, you live in an ecstatic place, very, very happy. And isn't the goal to always live in these quadrants when you're doing your rocks? When you're looking at your rocks, you got to say, okay, what I'm taking on to move this big rock that I just wrote on that page of my book, where does this fall here? Because one of my personal development goals is to empower all of you to have a better year than you've ever had before based on who you are. Okay, that's one of my personal development goals. But when you ask me to do certain things, right, I have to check myself because I have a habit that I have to learn to do better all the time as a leader, which is to push back. Like I have to push back and be like, hey, okay, can we just check this section of the contract? Because I'm really fast to be like, okay, let me just help you and take care of it and then move forward. But that's only resonates for the moment. So how do I empower you to do better, right? And I look at this sometimes to go, okay, Mandy, you just have to redirect yourself. This is their responsibility or your responsibility, right? And I have to keep myself in my lane because I don't want to go away from empowering all of you. So it's a really great thing to think about when you're moving your big rocks around. All right, that was exciting. Woohoo! Do you think that diagram will help you think about life moving forward? Just a little tidbit, probably shouldn't tell you. I learned that in marriage counseling. And it said yours and his. And I was like, this is going to be interesting. And so I sat there as she was talking and trying to hit home with me. And I was thinking, you know how this could work in real estate? I could do this whole thing on addendums.
Yeah.
HOA.
Yeah, and I find that the whole thing, yeah, that's a whole nother bucket I dealt with this morning, HOA addendums. It really comes down to it of understanding in all terms of relationships that everything we do with our big rocks, there's some relationship involved. And you're the core piece of everything you plan to do.
Okay, not to push back, but I have a question. What if the responsibility, the people that you're dealing with, you have responsibility for? That action item may be their responsibility, but whether or not they actually perform, then becomes your responsibility.
That only applies to minors.
Okay.
Okay, so that's under the age of 18. And then you sit on them and you buy lots of duct tape. And you say, if you're going to do nothing, you're really going to do nothing. And I have your cell phone forever. But when it comes to roles within employment structures, there's a point that you let go. They're over 18, they're self-sustaining. Everyone we typically deal with in real estate, they're their own person. You can't make someone not go buy a car in the middle of their escrow.
Yeah, but I think what he's saying is, if they don't call the HOA and you need that HOA addendum information for the listing, how do you get it?
Great question, Melissa. If they don't call the HOA and you need the HOA information for the listing, you let them know you're going to put all zeros or $1 and they're going to sign off on that. And this is their disclosure information. If they refuse to do so, you need to ask yourself before going under contract, if they're not doing basics, what are they doing on their seller property disclosure statement? Then you have to ask yourself how much you like your real estate license and go to your broker. And we're going to have a sit down talk and we're going to call them together and we're going to try to get them to do the right thing. And if they're unwilling to do the right thing, I'm going to ask you, do you really want this listing? And if the answer is yes, guess what you're going to disclose the entire time to the other side once you go under contract. I asked my seller refuses to get the information. I have to be honest with the other party. So if you're going to push back on that topic, the answer is in real estate, dealing adult to adult, people are 110% responsible for themselves when it comes to our goals. Unless you're responsible for something under, I lied to my kids and told them it was until they graduate from high school, 18. So that's how I deal with it. That's up to them. At the end of the day in a job, even though I'm responsible for Louise,
Right.
but ultimately she's responsible for me. If she chooses not to do her job, then she's just not going to be there, right? And if I choose not to do my job, my boss isn't going to be harmed. He's just going to choose for me not to be there. So same with clients. We have a duty of honesty. So keep yourself back in your lane and speak the expectation of what theirs is. Does that help answer that question? Okay, so looking at your rocks, that was exciting. Looking at the rocks. John, you have to have rocks.
Oh, I got a lot more. They're all in my head between my ears.
I want you to think of just 3 of them that need to be your ultimate goal for this quarter. And those are your goals on your next page. So Melissa's should be selling at least 4 to 5, let's say 6 homes by March 31st, 2023.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought so. You do at least 2 of them. Sell 6 properties by March 31st, 2023. What's that target metrics? How will she know if she's getting there?
I've sold. If I've listed them, or if I've got buyers lined up in my pipeline.
Right. My target matrix is I always have 5 intake forms for ready, willing, and able clients completed. Everyone knows what an intake form is? An intake form says name, buyer, seller, and all their information of what their needs are. Right, that's one way to measure it. The other way is my bank account has money in it. Right, but when I want to see, am I doing this? Am I staying on goal? Well, do I have 5 intake forms at all times of someone ready and willing and able? Because that means every single day I'm touching base with them somehow. Or every week or every other day, right? So when I was in the field, I had a binder. And I had handwritten intake forms. A lot of you guys like to do everything on the computer. It's not that I don't support that, it's that I don't think it's tangible. Therefore, I think people are easy to turn their computer off and focus somewhere else. But if I have something that says do this. Now, I don't carry an Apple Watch or a Android watch. So I don't have anything to alert me on my wrist because I tried that and it really messed me up. And I felt like I would never get peace even in the restroom. And I was like, I'm sorry. And it wasn't you guys, it was the home thing. And I was like, I'm going to put that back in the drawer. So if you have that, you have it set up where you're always focusing and moving forward. Okay, did you call Raul today? Did you call Stephanie today? You know, did you look for homes for Stephanie? Blah, 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 blah. That's great. But I always had mine written and I always knew exactly what I was working on every day. And if somebody went under contract, that means I no longer had 5 prospects lined up, which means I had to start making my phone calls. Great, you're under contract. I have a whole process over here, but I need 5 people ready, willing, and able to go to get to 6 deals, right? Someone else tell me one of their goals that goes in my goals. Come on, I know you have a goal. Eric,
Mine, just do my 5-5-4 daily.
do my 5-5-4 daily.
You know, call 5 new people, call 5 or talk, have conversations with 5 new people. 5 follow-up, or I'm sorry, 5, let's start over. 5 new people, 5 existing clients, or I should say like ones that are in the pipeline. And then new, existing, and old. Go there. And 4 of
So,
that.
hey, it's great to meet you. Hey, just want to touch base. And oh my gosh, I missed your face.
Yeah.
So do my 5-5-4 daily. And how are you going to make sure you stay on track with that?
Just have a check sheet in my little planner. So boom, boom, boom. Hey, is it done? Yes, no.
So we have a target matrix and we have a way of a goal. It can be deep, guys. If you have personal goals, it could definitely be deep. It could be, or it could be simple of like, and I know I say simple of I'm gonna get in shape this year and have a better mindset. I'm gonna go hiking every day. Oh, let's face it, this is a rock guy move. You know, my target matrix is my pants are looser. My pants continue to be tighter. Okay, so then milestones are when you do each goal, how are you gonna celebrate it? Because when you get 6 closings the first quarter, how are you going to celebrate it? What's that milestone going to look like? The thing is, they always say if you forget to award yourself, you just go on burnout. I was on burnout completely in October of life. And I think it's because I didn't celebrate the small wins. So as you hit these target matrix, you guys have to think of, okay, what am I going to do for me? And it doesn't have to be major. Maybe it's an hour of quiet time. I'm going to tell people I have an appointment for an hour and I'm going to go read a book. You know, something to celebrate you guys. And then key habits you have to have. So Eric's key habit is he comes into this office every morning by 8:30 a.m. And he works back there in his room for at least 2 hours every single day. And if he socializes too much, I'm supposed to say, Eric, did you do your goals for the day? Because he's asked me to say that, so I get to hound him. Because if he doesn't do that, then he's never going to get there, because there's always something else to be done, right? So you have to think of what key habits will keep me in line with this. And guys, please don't make them unrealistic. I get that we're always like, let's think outside the box. You know, but if you tell me that I'm gonna have to wake up at 5 a.m. every day to go do that hike, let me just tell you, I will sleep until 6:30 every day and miss that hike. Why? Because that's not who I am. I can't just recenter me. So I need you to think about, what can you actually put into place?
Something that's really interesting, because we're a commission-based business, is if you dedicate just 2 hours a day to talking to somebody that could potentially sell or buy a house, going through your CRM, not doing your emails, because I get 1,000 emails a day, half of them are totally unnecessary. And just 2 hours, it doesn't sound like a lot, but most people think a lot of things they do is working, and it's not working. They aren't working. So if you just did 2 hours a day of calling somebody, connecting, touching base, going and viewing houses. The reason 2023 is going to be a great year, not good year for those of us who work, is that we don't have enough inventory for the 265 people daily that are coming to Arizona. We don't have enough inventory, period, in a discussion. So you need to delineate yourself, and just calling somebody and chatting about the market is a good thing. You know, just chatting about the market. They're going to ask you, how's the market? And be positive. We don't have enough inventory.
So Dave, can I share something you're doing?
Sure.
So Dave's been going around to small businesses and doing a little quick video and putting it on YouTube, like your community realtor. And wouldn't it be a fun topic to say, hey, Joe, just want to touch base with you. I found this really cool yoga coffee shop, and I didn't know if you ever wanted to go have a coffee. I just met with the owner. She did this video for me so I could put out my business more, but really I was so inspired by her. I'd love to show it to you. It's just that easy.
Great reason to call somebody. Yeah. Wow, I like it.
Or how about the one that I've been telling you the entire time I've worked here is on Facebook, and I really did see this on Facebook, and I stole it from Facebook, just like I steal all my jokes from the TikToks. You all want bad jokes. That's after 5 o'clock across the street. I was on social media today and I saw this thing, and it said, if you miss them, call them. And I can't remember the last time I actually heard your voice, and I just wanted to say hello. And they go, hello, right? And Lee Brown, there's too many Browns in my life. Lee Brown has this great thing, like Sherry's point. Sherry does that really well. She'll touch base with people, and she's like really to the point, and she'll even get off the phone within 5 minutes, unless it's interesting, which is something you have to time block too. It's like, how long do I want to spend on the phone with this human?
You don't have that. You have that. That's all you have.
You start that way.
Yeah.
But she says, call one person a day out of your phone. One person. And if they're rude, delete that one person. Right? But if you contact one person a day, that's 30 more contacts than you had before, because they just sit on your phone. So what if you just call and say, hey, I just wanted to call and say hi? It goes for everybody. And I hear agents sometimes tell me that lately, a lot of agents are prospecting around this time of the day during the week. Not a great time. You guys have to remember, like, people that we usually serve typically don't get off until the evening. So you have to think about when you're going out. Weekends are actually some of the best times to try to contact more and more people, or the lunch hour. Now I get, we have some professionals, like my mom works 12-hour shifts, right? Like, good luck getting her on that schedule. But at the end of the day, don't slide dial them either. What I hate about slide dial, if you don't know, slide dial is where you put in their number and it just goes directly to their voicemail, is sometimes it doesn't work and they answer. And then I'm like, I didn't want to talk to you. I wanted your voicemail. Or you go, oh, I'm so sorry I missed you. And they go, funny thing, it never rang. Like, people are smart about that now. Now, if you want to do some kind of sly contact for the holidays, I would suggest sly broadcast. And don't make a fake thing of it. Just be like, hey, just wanted to reach out to all my favorite people, you being one of them. Wish you a happy holidays. I really hope we can connect in 2023. Give me a call. That's a sly broadcast message, but don't try to fake out people anymore. It's corny. It doesn't work. Come on, you guys have recruiters calling you every day like that. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question. So
last year when everybody's talking about the inventory can be low, coming up. Last year it was like 5 or 6,000 and now it's over 20. So how is that still low?
So in 90 days on the market back in 2005, 2006 was about 40,000 homes on the market. And our population, to Sherry's point, was a lot lower. As it goes in, to have a good ratio with 90 days on the market of a regular playing field and good interest rates, you're probably looking at least 60,000 active to coming soon properties right now.
Okay.
So that's why it's low. So it looks bigger, but it's not bigger.
The other thing is you might want to dial in your own numbers, because the problem with ARMLS right now is it's not just Maricopa County.
Right.
So if
Right.
you actually look at Maricopa County right now, it was, all listings were only 17,000, not over 20, which
Yeah.
is what you're seeing on everything. Because they're showing you things in Flagstaff, in Prescott, in Tucson, that people have posted on our ARMLS. So if you do your own for just Maricopa County, now I know if you do the city of Maricopa, you may want to expand that a little, but if you're just looking at numbers, you might want to dial that into Maricopa. Single family
Yeah.
homes,
12,200.
like 12,000, it is very small.
Mhm.
So when you consider how many people are moving here, the number of new businesses coming in 2023 is huge.
Huge.
Maybe Mandy will have one of the government folks come talk to us in the first quarter, but there's so much in the pipeline that is moving here still. So
Thank you for that segue, Melissa. So she's fantastic. That's Ms. Schwartz.
The other thing to that is you also should dial in to where you actually sell.
sure.
Because generalization is wonderful,
Mhm.
but specifics is better. So if you do Glendale, West Side, Peoria, Scottsdale, you dial into that city and find out how much is available, and you might be real surprised.
Absolutely. January 10th, everybody have that on their calendar? We're going to Chase Field. It's Realtor Day. It usually is Realtor Day at the Capitol. The reason we moved it to Chase Field is we have a great opportunity that National Association of Realtors President Kenny will be here, and he has a lot of great tools, and he's a full-time Utah Realtor, and he has a really great mindset. This is a free event for you guys, so please register to go on January 10th. And they'll come up with a lot of that good stuff too. And I always bring in lovely government affairs directors for you. So thank you for that.
All day.
The other thing.
No,
that
just like
was
2 hours.
asking about the bow tie contest, his name is Elliot Eisenberg.
Eisenberg, thank you.
And it's under Elliot at grassandlaughs.net.
See, it's fun. I'm telling you.
It
You have to,
really is fun. He laughs a lot, and people don't normally like economics or things that go on with the economy, even though it's very valuable in our particular career. But that's the thing, Elliot Eisenberg.
oh, and guys, I didn't introduce you to Sandra in the back. This is Sandra. She's a realtor from Texas. She's one of our agents too, in my opinion. So we are keeping her as long as we can. But if you need Texas hookups, make sure to talk to Sandra.
Where?
Dallas, Texas.
Yes.
It's a big airport. Now your next one is your roadmap. How are you going to get there? And something that I like about Macy, if you guys haven't met Macy yet, is she's really good on social media. Right? And you put yourself out there really nicely. But the concept is, okay, if one of my roadmaps is to get enough prospects, right, to always have 5 intake forms done, how much time am I spending on social media? I really would suggest that you only dedicate a certain time allotment, and you have like a little buzzer that goes off. And maybe this is another way to start reconnecting with people, to get dirt on them so you can actually call them. And then to post something about yourself. Like I give you a lot of things in the newsletter, and you can take any of it and post it and make it all your own, or go to creative studios and post that information. But like doing something, so it might be like week 1, create Facebook account. And if you have one, week 1, only spend 30 minutes for the rest of my life on Facebook a day, which is hard because how many of you get wrapped into just trying to like mind meld on social media, right? Like you're just like, Go ahead, Bree.
For me, I have to time myself, even though it's a big part of my job. Is I have like a timer on my phone. I'm actually gonna get like a old school timer though, because I feel like it's more tangible thing to help me time myself on there. And then we also, Rock Title has a bunch of social media for you guys for market update stuff.
Awesome. Thank you, Bree. And then, the other thing on your roadmap that I would suggest is, I don't see many of you with one today, but I know a lot of you own them. Every time I leave my home, I will wear a name tag that makes me happy. No, I just took off my coat though. I swear something was on there. But I'm not you anymore. I can't have 5 intake forms. I'm a non-competing broker, right? Every day I left my house with a name tag on that was blingier than bling because it made me smile. And I would recognize other people's name tags and call them by their name. Have you ever noticed if you wear a name tag, you're more apt to read someone else's name tag? Now it creeps my children out, which I enjoy immensely. That will be at the grocery store and I'd be like, name tag. And I don't say anything. It says what I do. And I'd be like, hey, Joe, how's your day going? Like yesterday, my cashier's guy was Ronald and he was the nicest dude. But I kept telling my husband what to do last night. I don't know what came over me. And he kept, and amazingly, he had already done it. I was like, did you put your credit card in? Did you put your PIN in? And like, I kept going through the thing and I just looked at Ronald and I said, Ronald, I don't even know why I'm here. If he already did it all, like, why did he bring me? And the guy started laughing. But then if I had my name tag on, we could have made a connection, right? A better connection, more impactful. When I lived at my old house in Avondale. Now, I know a lot of you folks love where you can pull up and they just put the groceries in your car and that's lovely. Or they deliver them at your doorstep, but I still go and pick out my own milk. And I knew Steven was my favorite cashier. And from day one, when I met Steven, I'd purposely go to Steven's lines and he wants to be a comedian when he grows up. And I want to be a realtor when I grow up. So he'd be like, how's this day? You know, across the line. And I'm like, this is great, name tag. And it was just more of something to have a conversation off. And when you say somebody's name, it's the sweetest thing that they will ever hear. So just an idea, if you don't have a name tag, and if you have a name tag, but it's not something you go, oh, I'm so excited to wear that, buy a new name tag. Logospectrum.com has some really cool blingy ones.
Or Mark.
What, Mark
You can
Foley?
bling 'em out at Mark.
Mark Full too. All right, last thing, one of the last things we're gonna do is our SWOT. So if it was easy to get to all your goals, would you be there? Would we have exceeded them? Nothing would hold you back. So what's holding you back externally?
Myself, yeah. who said that?
No, but external, outside of you, all right, if we're just gonna focus on real estate, what in real estate makes you not want to have more conversations?
Shitty agent.
The reputation of others bringing us down,
Fear of rejection,
That was a nicer way
Huh?
of saying it.
fear of rejection.
fear of rejection.
Coming across as almost not salesy, but there's a motive for the phone call. I haven't talked to you in 7 years and you're calling me and you're a realtor, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
That-
so
At least that's what's full.
the reputation of being slimy still.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a genuine contact.
Right.
I mean, if we go internal, if you go internal, that would be under internal is authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you being authentic to your purpose? And if we go under internal, she said, timing. I don't have enough time. Like, I just don't have enough time to do everything in my day, right?
Right.
But if we look external, how many of you do buyer broker agreements? Like less than half of this room religiously do buyer broker agreements. The external obstacle that I'm seeing with agents right now, I've always seen it, is agents have the fear of rejection and they actually won't have a discussion on how they're paid and be employed. If you're not employed, you know how much you're definitely going to make. 0. If you have a buyer broker, there's no guarantees, but you have loyalty in return. So one of the problems we have are those 3 lawsuits we currently have on the table. That compensation for cooperation is about to disappear if we keep up what we do, if we continue not to be employed. And the reason is because then we're saying to a seller, you're definitely going to be the one paying me. And how much does a seller have to offer through the MLS? $1. I like the 0 though, but no, it's $1. And so if you decide, right, that you're worth being in a career, you have to be employed. Therefore, you have to start using employment agreements. And a lot of agents let these discussions hold them back. I'm scared they won't sign. Well, did you know Arizona is one of the few states that actually does not require a buyer broker agreement? That is an option. Most states, the Midwest and East Coast mostly, all of them, to get in the car, you hire your realtor. And most of those states, just to let you know, have attorneys involved. So they don't even do what we do. They don't even write the offer. So we're giving all of this enchilada for free. So a lot of it's setting up the relationship from the beginning of the agency. So the first thing we're doing in January for Mastermind is going back to fiduciary. We're going to go back to what's your value. Because if you tell me my value is calling the city, I'm sorry, but that's not your value. Your value is giving a source. That's part of your value, but that's not your value. So we're going to go back to that step one. External obstacles, things you can't control, inventory. You can't control that. If you have a buyer right now and they're not finding the love of their life in a house, they're not offering, right? Or that they go from condos to houses. You're like, we were so close. I was writing it and now they want a single family home. You know, you can't control all of that, but there's ways to overcome it. And it's just to keep moving forward. And then internal obstacles, you said timing, you said, I don't want to lose friends thinking I'm selling them. Guys, we're in the holidays right now, right? How many of you really want to talk about real estate with your friends and family?
Oh, I love it.
Might as well talk about football.
20 people that came yesterday, 6 of them asked about real estate. They'll ask you.
You don't have
They'll
to.
just ask you.
So you're saying if I show up to what I'm invited to, I put a smile on my face, I'm authentically there because I like the people around me, that the conversations, they'll begin them. So there's nothing to hold me back. That's what I just heard. So make sure everything you're invited to, you understand that part of your job is showing up, even if it's only for 5 minutes. One of my favorite mentors in real estate, his name's Carl Giordano. He's been doing real estate for a long time. And he said to me once, he said, your job is to show up. No matter what, your job is to make an appearance, say hello, be polite. And then if you got to go, just say you had a previous engagement, but you couldn't help but want to be there. And it's not that I never wanted to be at the things I'm invited to. How many of you feel tired on Saturday when it's foggy out? How many of you today debated if you really wanted to drive in the fog? We're like, what state are we in? Oh, by the way, on the driving test, this is the weather for low beams. Kid just passed that on Saturday. She was like, high beams. I'm like, don't put that. You're going to get it wrong. I know you haven't experienced it. So you have to know that all of these obstacles that you wrote down, if you wrote any down, there are opportunities knocking on your door to just go knock them out. If you say you don't have enough time, how can I delegate or get assistance? What else could I be moving around? And then the plan is, guys, when you're at home or you're talking to your leadership buddy or accountability friend or your real estate buddy that you talk to all the time, if this, then that route. Well, if it doesn't go this way, then I'm going to pivot this way. Have a plan for 2023. If the market doesn't pick up with buyers, like we all are thinking it will based on historical events, in the 3rd week of January, what else am I going to do so I can eat in February? Right? How am I going to prep myself for success? How many of you are writing New Year's cards? All right, just a thought. I love the holidays of December, but you know what happens to your cards? They get thrown away or they get put in a tote. Some ladies like, well, I only know the ladies that keep them in the totes. Maybe there are some gentlemen that do. They get like, oh, these are my years of cards. And I'm like, wow. Feel the love. If you want to be different, just an idea, handwritten card right after Christmas is over, to be exact, like December 26th, 27th, put them all in the mailbox. And that first week of January, your handwritten note that says, hey, Joe, I really would love to meet up with you this month. Can't wait to hear about what plans you have in 2023. I'm planning on hanging out a bit more in Munns Park. Would love to tell you why. You know, or take your favorite vacation photo or photo that you did of like maybe you were hiking and you took some beautiful view and put it in the card of like, hey, just wanted to share what I did in 2022. Can't wait to hear about your big goals in 2023. But I handwrite all of them and I stalk them on Facebook or Insta or social and make it about them. And every single year I did that, I had people calling me, thanking me for my cards. And I was sitting there thinking, I wonder what I wrote. Because I don't think I just go with the flow. Well, you were on my list and I always did at least 100 people.
Wow.
And that does equal hand cramps. but I know it sounded really long. This is a gold fat Sharpie. The fat one. Do not buy the thin tip ones. I know they're tempting. Don't buy them. Keep it the original. And they're diagonally written. So it's actually only 3 sentences per person. Okay. And then you got to think about what motivates you. Why are you doing this? Some people are going to say it's money. I sell houses because I like money. A lot of us say it's because I like to serve those around me. A lot of us say because I get a real estate high. The first time I heard that one, Melissa, I did that too. I was in burnout in my career, full-time realtor in the field. I was selling between 3 and 5 deals a month. I was like, I should be happy, but I was like in this down because this one month came around and there was like nothing. It was nothing. I went from all of this to nothing. And I was like, oh, and I was becoming this miserable little person who lived under a bridge, right? Like I was just like, just leave me in the corner. You don't want to deal with me. I'm miserable. My friend came up to me and she goes, I know how to fix you. And I said, how's that? I'm gonna get you a real estate high. And I was like, I don't do drugs. What she did is she got me back in the right mindset. She was another professional in the office. And we just started doing a few things together. And then I got back in my mojo of open houses, meeting with people, getting back on. And that was like, I was back up. So it's easy to go into your lows, but think what keeps me positive, what keeps me moving forward. Okay. And then top benefits of achieving these goals. I hope you all know that means a happy life. The smiley buckets that we talked about earlier. But what are the benefits for you personally? And then how are you going to reward yourself and the ones around you? A lot of people just finished their client appreciation parties. And I want you to know that doesn't only get the realtor more business by mistake, right? Because the goal is to say thank you. But it also brings those people around them that might have been lonely or not having anything to go to back up with them, and they feel appreciated. See, you can't just assume somebody single, married, with kids, without kids, with somebody, without somebody, always feels like they're accepted by others. But as a professional that's in a service-oriented industry, man, when you can do something to make someone feel special without asking them for a deal, and you're just authentically you, it's amazing what the rate of return will be. So with that, guys, you have a great template to write out everything for next year, but I would do it quarterly and I wouldn't make it too heavy, but really think about, last week we did our financial goals, what we need to sustain, what you need to make to eat. One of my goals in here is never charge my mortgage or my grocery bill. Every year as a professional, I'm never in charge of my mortgage or my grocery bill. Now, trinkets is a different story. And then we can all sing the Family Guy song about credit card bills. But at the end of the day, I always wanted to be financially sound so I could better serve somebody else. Because when they need to cancel, what do we need to do? Cancel and get them their earnest money back, right? Fully serve. So with that, anybody have anything they want to add or any uppers for the group? Also, Melissa brought up, look at Maricopa County, add in Pinal these days. It's not just Maricopa anymore. Pinal is basically, I am a redheaded stepchild, the redheaded stepchild of Maricopa County. So you might as well add Maricopa County and Pinal County when looking at your figures, because Queen Creek, Maricopa, the whole area is booming like crazy.
And double check you've loaded your Facebook stuff for the offices, because we have multiple Facebook groups. If you're not belonging to all of those, especially the one exclusives, make sure you have those links.
Oh, wow.
Yep, and those are in the newsletter every single week. And they were with your welcome emails as well. Eric, you had something?
That's exactly what you said, that I got you.
Oh,
Yep. When you're on the phone and you're talking to people and you don't know what to say, there's a book, exactly what to say for realtors. It's phenomenal. And you can actually download a cheat sheet and it just kind of gives you a whole bunch of things to start off conversations with. And just key things to trigger people and talking about real estate and making deals.
What book is that?
Is it in your office right here?
no, I took it home because I've been reading it on my couch. It's exactly what to say.
For realtors.
Sherry?
Also, if you want to get started doing that and using that book or doing conversations, call friends, practice on them. And just launch into what you think you're gonna say to somebody. And the friend's gonna say something back and that's usually helpful. So practice with people.
Also,
But then it just rolls off your mouth if you practice with people.
So, yeah, exactly what to say. And there's a whole thing of. I don't know, it's a really quick, awesome read. But there's a whole bunch of things, the magic word, it's like listing appointments. I wanna wait until I can make a few repairs to home, and that's how most people want their house to be HDGTV ready. Blah, 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 but it's a sweet book.
Cool.
Highly recommend
Thanks,
it.
Eric.
and then remember what Simon Sinek says, we're not in this for the finite game, we're in it for the infinite game. So let's make legacies and make sure your name is shouted from the rooftops every time someone thinks home. And with that, today's session has been concluded, and thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.